These guys are probably the most disciplined of the martial arts practitioners. They've devoted their lives to the study of Kung Fu, Buddhism. And they also play host to some of the best martial arts demonstrations. As you'll see later on, body conditioning plays a very important and very big part in the monks' training. And they start them very, very young. It seems their day starts very, very early and finishes quite late. You can imagine just what a bundle of energy this little chap is throughout the day. You see him just springing out of bed just like that. That is amazing. And if you're a follower of martial arts films, you'll be very familiar with the Shaolin monks and all their training. You can be seeing demonstrations throughout this 13th Martial Arts Festival from the Shaolin monks. The arena. First up, we are going to have Eskrima versus Krav Maga. Now, if you've never heard of Krav Maga, it is a fairly recent martial art. Hails from Israel. And Eskrima, that's been around for quite a while. Again, probably hasn't had the recognition it deserves. After each practitioner has actually demonstrated their art, there will of course be the usual demo by the Shaolin monks. As you'll see later on, fighting moves have been incorporated from various elements from animals. And also, you see the drunken fighting later on. It's not just about a study of martial arts though, there's also a study of the medicines. The herbal and other traditional Chinese medicines. And whatever you do, do not try this at home. These guys, trained professionals, train every single day from very early in the morning, and this is all they do, is train and live to train. Increase their knowledge of the arts and the medicines. The Shaolin monks, because they don't have to defend their temple anymore, they used to have to defend their temple from vagrants and pirates who would come and try and steal the treasures that they had, because there's less call for that nowadays. They've actually embarked on world tours. We've brought them to you earlier in the year on Eurosport, with them live from Vienna. But if you ever get a chance to see them live and in action and a whole show of them, it is definitely worth it. Do not pass up that opportunity. To show you how old the Shaolin monks, really the story of the Shaolin monks is, it began in 497 AD, when Baya Tiao, a traveling monk, came to China from India and had a temple built for him by the Emperor Xiaoweng, who was impressed by the monk. It was built in the Henan province, where monks would meditate, pray, read and copy scriptures, and some monks would practice Kung Fu. In 527 AD, Bodhidharma crossed the Himalayas into China, was initially refused entry to the temple, and it was said he spent 9 years in meditation, and that is some commitment before being allowed entry. Then, when he was allowed entry, he actually taught monks to strengthen their bodies with the strengthening and breathing exercises. The monks learned the kung fu that was, of course, essential when the temple was to be defended from attack in those days by the bandits and some of the emperor's troops. Of course, that is no longer the case, which is why this really has brought it to the world. And they are able to demonstrate their art. And this is the way they now show the world and also raise money for their temples. Chon Phat Tuan, Vietnam, Viet Vo Day. More from the Shaolin monks. Again, these guys condition and train, and that is all they do. So please, do not try this. They spend all day involved in meditation, prayer, reading and learning, and of course kung fu training. Some of the training is legendary and is often portrayed in kung fu films. Now in my mind that didn't really break much before it hit. If you watch that again, not quite going off there. I mean, these guys are brilliant. So I think one mistake can be forgiven. Some of the legendary training is the Hall of Wooden Men, where they have a row of wooden dummies. They're, of course, as they've shown, masters of armed and unarmed combat. We return boost for disarmed soldiers so they could defend themselves against armed enemies. These guys certainly are demonstrating you a lot of weapons you're going to see here. Here's the chain. Everywhere they go, the audiences love them. They certainly pack out the stadiums. That's probably one of the reasons why there are so many people in attendance here at the Stade de Coubertin in Paris, Bercy. Apologies, I keep on forgetting where I am. We're actually in the Palace de Omnisport in Paris, Bercy.
Le Vietnam, le Portugal.
Of all the elements, the knees and the elbows. See another one of the Shaolin monks' training tools. I'm sure there's easier ways to get off it than that, though. Again, the concentration of chi energy. If these guys do another world tour soon, I don't know if there's anything on the cards, but if they do, fully advised to go. Value for money. Because these guys are absolutely mad. As you can see, swords below him, nails above him, with somebody else lying on top of him. And when he comes off, not a mark on him. Nothing is an eye-opener. Now, it may seem unusual that peaceful monks practice a combat art. However, Kung Fu was originally developed as a form of self-defense. And one monk has been quoted as saying, "We are trying to seek the movement in the peace and the peace in the movement." Now, whatever's going through your mind at this moment as to what this monk is about to demonstrate, it's probably correct. And as with most of the demonstrations, it probably involves just a little bit of pain, which is why the concentration and the focusing and the building of the chi energy is so important. Because that has got to hurt. There's another quote from a monk saying, "The power of a jackhammer combined with the grace of a ballet dancer." Monks certainly have been active with their tour that they've been doing of Europe and their involvement in the martial arts festival. They seem to certainly have a full calendar. If you get a chance to go see one of their shows where you're going to see them for the entirety of the show, then it is definitely something to take up. So as you can see, from one generation to the next, martial arts is certainly for all ages. And legend has it that 13, that's 1-3 Shaolin monks fought troops of the Imperial Army and helped the founder of the Tang dynasty fight for his throne. And certainly through some of the demonstrations we've seen today, their excellent and proficiency in both the armed and the unarmed combat, that can't be too far away from the truth.
Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, je vais maintenant vous demander de saluer le départ de l'empereur de Chine et des moines de Shaolin.
The Shaolin monks, who for me have been one of the highlights of this, the 13th Martial Arts Festival. Certainly come a long way since the first one in about 1975.
Vous venez d'assister au grand tournoi de
Hopefully you've seen something today which has interested you. And don't forget, martial arts, not every martial art is the same. They all have their certain elements.